You heard it here, Lewis. You heard it here. Your boy Omar, that is usually your highest doubter. He believes in you. All right,
Yeah,
do it.
exactly.
Win
Do
it.
it.
Win
Just
it.
do it.
Just do
Just
it.
do
Do it. Do
it.
it. Welcome everyone. We're back here at the front office report. I'm here with the beautiful Omar. Right after the race, we just finished watching the Austrian GP.
Mhm.
Well played to Max Verstappen. He just won I believe it was a third in a row, fourth maybe.
Yep. Third.
Um,
Third.
but definitely fourth win in a row for Red Bull. So
Mhm.
look, it's looking like Red Bull is taking over, and there's no stopping there. But yeah, we're gonna talk about a few of the drivers. We're gonna do a little bit of accolades and rewards on our end. But first, Omar, I wanted to know what are your thoughts on the race, thoughts on the podium, thoughts on the circuit as a whole.
So, I mean, I think overall it was a fairly straightforward race. I think if you were to compare it to last week's race, I think last week's was a bit more exciting in that regard. Um, Overall, not much to really cover apart from obviously the penalties that we'll dive into. I think it's a huge podium finish for Lando Norris, so shout out to him. Obviously, it's annoying that he dropped from second to third, but barring the penalty and the conditions and the situation that he faced, I think he should be very happy, very proud of himself, and also, shout out to my boy Ricardo. He went up quite a few spots from 13th. I think his final position was sixth, I believe, even after the Perez time penalty. So yeah, overall good race for McLaren. Shout out to also Ferrari who were able to bring it back. But yeah, I think overall this race could have been way more exciting, but unfortunately, was just kind of flat. I don't know what did you think?
Yeah, I actually I'm gonna disagree. I thought it was really exciting just because of the fact that of the non-Red Bull, non-Mercedes races that we saw.
Mm,
So another one that shout out for that would be George Russell having an amazing weekend.
mm-hmm.
He just out of the points. Sadly, Alonso couldn't just let that go.
No.
So Alonso needed at one point. So maybe next time, George. Maybe next time. And hey,
Mm-hmm.
you're poised for a good future. Good future. So I'm looking really good in that Williams. Having said that, let's go through a couple of the racers. Let's talk about
Mm-hmm.
Max real quick. Obviously, not a lot to say other than well done.
Mm-hmm.
What a turnaround Max has done in the past few years. He's been through a lot of changes in terms of how he races. It used to be the guy that I kind of wasn't really a fan of because he was too aggressive, too careless, too out of control, a lot of DNS, just a lot of poor racing in my opinion. But
Mm-hmm.
now he's completely matured. We've been talking
Yeah.
about this over the last few weekends. He's completely changed how things look,
I
and
mean,
he's very controlled.
yeah, he's in a league of his own. I mean, you look at the race today. It's just he was on he was pretty much on cruise control for most of the race. I mean, everyone else was kind of battling behind him, and he was just kind of in his zone, hitting fastest lap after fastest lap. Let's say I am very curious though to see how this Max Verstappen resurgence continues next season with the new cars that come into play. But for now, I think he just needs to enjoy this is his moment. This is his time to shine. So I hope he's enjoying it.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think next year is gonna be amazing to watch, and I do think we're gonna have a three-way racing, if not four. I do
Mm,
believe McLaren, with the changes, McLaren might be able to compete with all three,
mm,
with Mercedes and Red Bull for number one finishes, which is gonna be amazing. It's gonna be back to like the whole Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes saga that we had a few
mm-hmm.
years back. So that's gonna be exciting. And look, if Ferrari brings it up, who knows? Maybe it could be a four-way
Well,
championship.
I wanted to ask. I'm glad you brought up Ferrari because to me they are the definition of like I don't know if inconsistency is the right word, but just underwhelming races. Like you or at least you feel they can do more and you want them to do more, but they don't. Like you would expect a car like Ferraris that as previously as like a season or two ago, maybe 2 seasons to be more accurate, was competing for top spot. I guess a Mercedes car that was top notch. When Vettel was still in
Yeah.
Ferrari, that Mercedes car that Hamilton was driving was top notch. So you had clearly some infrastructure in the car that was successful. How have they suddenly just fell so aggressively to be accepting that, what, we'll fight for third? And even then, they're not even fighting for third well. They're losing
Yeah.
to McLaren. So what are your thoughts about Ferrari? What do you think is not working? What do you think is working for them to kind of push, as you said, to compete on that level?
Yeah, I mean, I think we touched on it a few videos back where Ferrari kind of had this whole like drama going on with their car, and like it was like, is it sketchy, is it not? FIA looked into it, but there wasn't any clarity, but they had to do some changes, so that definitely like impacted their whole way of approaching races. But you're absolutely right. I think inconsistency is the main thing that we have to talk about, and it's just because like you go back to Monaco and Azerbaijan, the street races, and you got Leclerc finishing pole position on both, and then they crash out, or like Leclerc is eliminated, he doesn't even race, for example, in Monaco,
Yeah.
and then in Baku he ends up sixth because he drops down, and then in the following two races it's a horrible weekend for them. Not horrible, but like not the best of weekends. They start like maybe behind McLaren, drop off at the beginning of the race, and you somehow see them like in 13th positions, 12th positions, and then somehow just turn back around and finish fifth and sixth. Like
Yeah.
it's such a weird team to follow, and it's like what's happening here? But I do think that this is only gonna get better for them. It has been getting better. So
But do you think that's, on the back end? Well, there's, in Formula One, I think that's part of the beauty of it. There's so many different components that need to come into play, right? There's the engineering and kind of the back end things behind it. There's the front office, which is kind of like the strategy, the manager, etc., etc. And
us,
then there's the drivers themselves.
yeah.
Nice. So if you were to look at those three different components in that team, where do you think is the biggest issue? Do you think it is the engineering behind it, or do you think it's the strategy and the elements, or do you think the drivers? Like, where do you think the kind of biggest pain point
Yeah. Okay,
lies?
no, that's a good question. So I think the strongest point is actually the drivers. I think they have wonderful drivers behind the car, Sainz and Leclerc. Two that as we saw in this circuit, like they're a team. Leclerc let Sainz go, and Sainz was able to take a couple points from Ricardo. So
100%.
that's always nice to see for a constructor perspective. That doesn't really last much, but I think the problem is just still the car. The car just doesn't have that race pace that you expect from Ferrari, but they are working on it, and I do see them, getting
But it's
better over
interesting.
time.
But it's interesting you say they don't have race pace when they've shown that the car has enough speed on it to hit pole before, right? So like that's so that to me, I actually disagree. I think the car. I mean, I think obviously can need some fine tweaking to really be that competitive edge, to give it that competitive edge. But I think their biggest issue is their kind of that middle office, front office kind of, their strategies have always been confusing. At the end of the day, to me, part of you as a manager or whatever the technical, I think the official term is technical director, part of your job is prepping the driver not to crash, making sure you're very aware of the potential scenarios. I mean, a lot of Formula One is scenario planning, right? Like part of the strategies, part of this, part of that is you are just so dedicated to thinking of every possible scenario and having direct action towards it rather than kind of panicking. And you see that very well to give them credit with Red Bull. Red Bull, as soon as there's a difference in the race, as soon as a difference in tires, like that race, what was the races from 2-3 races ago where Perez pitted in early so he can get the one he won, the way where he pitted in early so he can get the tire advantage.
Yeah.
Like that's what I mean, right? Like they have those strategies in place, but with Ferrari, they're very linear in their approach.
Yeah, no, I do understand where you're coming from, and it is true. Some races you see these strategies, and it's like, okay, maybe they should have done that a lap or two earlier. So that is something that again they're just gonna have to improve on over time. I will say though, like finishing on pole is not race pace. It's just pace of the car at the best conditions. So like with minimal fuel in the
No,
tank,
of course,
best
of course.
tires.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm aware, right? But then again, to me, race pace also then comes back to the technical director and the team,
Yeah.
right? It's like you then need to figure out, okay, we have a car that's clearly very functional. How do we need to tweak it and tailor it so then it performs at the race? That's not the job of the engineers who are designing the wing. That's not the job of the driver. That's the job of the technical director to have all these data inputs and then formulate a strategy to put that driver in the best position.
Yeah, and they
Right?
have to
At
do
least
something.
that to me.
Yeah, no, and you're absolutely right. And they have to do something because sure, you took Ricardo's points. You were able to race against Ricardo, but Ricardo is not the guy that you're racing right now. Ricardo has been doing terrible. I mean, kudos to
For
him
his
for
standards,
this race.
yeah.
Yeah.
For his standards or for
For
McLaren
McLaren standards,
standards,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. But you need to race with Norris right now, and Norris
yeah,
is in podium, is pace to the Mercedes. Like
yeah,
that's who you need to aspire to. Like kudos, you got the last points from Ricardo. So
yeah.
and look, Ferrari, you guys did well. You guys landed some very nice
Mm.
points in the constructor. So you're on track there. Okay, so let's move on to another one of my boys, my Latino boy, Sergio Perez. Unfortunately, he got 2 time penalties of 5 seconds that brought him down to, I believe it was 6th, right behind Sainz.
Yeah, after the time, yeah.
So, okay, first of all, what are your thoughts on the penalties? Well done, badly done. It's the same one that Norris got. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, look, I think in that specific corner, so maybe like in the corner where both Norris and Perez got. So like that first penalty that Perez got,
Yeah.
that to me is 100% on the car that is trying to overtake. Like they've done enough qualifiers, enough practices. They've raced there last week, so it's not like this is a brand new track for them. Like it's a super tight corner. If you're trying to do the outside overtake, especially in that corner where the track itself narrows in a bit, that's your fault. Like I think, look, I also don't want to put no blame on the drivers that push them, like the ones that push them to the side, but they know that it is a risk that they are going to take.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, to talk about your Latino boy in general, I know we have a segment that's usually, the driver of the day and flat tire of the day. For me, the flat tire of the day is Perez by far. Why are you driving this recklessly? So the first penalty, whatever, you try to be aggressive and you messed up. Then you have another penalty like that to me, and he lost points, right? He lost the points to Sainz because of that second penalty.
To Ferrari. The guy
exactly.
that you pushed around, like you pushed Leclerc out, but you lost to the Ferrari,
to the team that you pushed out. So to me, it was just super reckless driving. I mean, we spoke before the race, and you even potentially had him at podium. But for someone to have that type of car, and especially bear in mind, this is the same car that Verstappen has, that he was flying this race, right? I don't know what it's about the Austria race specifically, but the Red Bull car seems to be responding really well to it. So there was no barrier for Perez to not be as fast as Verstappen, apart from his reckless driving, which a lot of the times put him in the dirt, had more wear out to his tires, to the bottom of the car, and then that slowed him down even more. So to me, it's just very underwhelming by Perez. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Okay, so here are my thoughts. I agree with a lot of what you said, but I'm gonna take another stand in the sense that I do. So first of all, the reason why, I mean, at least for me, Verstappen is flying and Perez isn't, is just traffic. Once you're behind, and that's why it's like, it's a very capitalistic sport in the sense that like the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, because if you're first, like you're competing against no one. As soon as you get 2 seconds, like you're just flying, you don't have to worry about anything. But then in the back, when you're trying to, I need to overtake the guy in the front, the guy in the back is overtaking me, and it's like, so
but there was a safety car. We started off with a safety car, right? It's not like Verstappen. Yeah, I'm understanding there was no one in front of Verstappen, but he had such an aggressive dominance of pace. And with the safety car, he still had to defend himself from Lando and Hamilton for a bit at the very beginning. So, I'm fully understanding of that. And I'm aware that Perez has the traffic element to both defend and overtake. but nothing excuses 2 5-second penalties.
Yeah. So okay. So on that, to me, I'm gonna take the complete opposite side. I do agree that he was reckless, but not because of those two penalties, but because of the penalty that Norris got. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that I am against those 3 penalties. It was turn 4, I believe it was.
Yeah, turn 4.
Basically, because of what you said, if you're the one overtaking, you need to assess the risk and you need to be liable for any. You can't overtake someone and expect the other guy in front to take the longest route. It's just not going to happen.
So again, I
me,
agree with you on the first penalty, which is fine. I think both of us have that same agreement that it's on the risk of the person going out. But then don't do it in the second penalty then. That second penalty does not make any sense to me.
But the thing is, like, for me, it sucks because, like, it's the first penalty set precedent. So, it happened, and it was, to me, 100% Perez's fault that happened. So Norris's 5-second penalty he shouldn't have gotten it. And the problem is that after that, Perez's reckless, overtake cost him 5 spots, and those 5 spots are the ones that you're gonna have to like carry on about.
Yeah.
And then whatever happened with Leclerc, I actually don't think it was on Perez at all, because if I'm saying that it was Perez's fault against Norris, I have to say that it was Leclerc's fault on Perez twice, right?
That's
so. But I still agree it was completely reckless that trying to overtake Norris. And look, Norris may have gotten a 5-second penalty, but you lost 5 spots. So at the end of the day, you're the worst loser.
And yeah, exactly. Well, then maybe on a brighter note, who was your driver of the day?
Okay, so I wanted to take. Okay, so first of all, just before going there, I'm just gonna finish with my flat tire of the day.
Oh,
super
yes.
quick,
okay, yes.
super easy. For Esteban Ocon, like, just get him out. Flat tire, DNF. I mean, it sucks because actually, I might take it back just because it wasn't really his fault. He was sandwiched in between.
Yeah, he was sandwiched. Well, like, not even, he was like quadrupled. Like, he literally had nowhere to escape.
Yeah, like, it's just a shame. But again, I mean, I didn't pay you a 5-year contract to finish out of the points 3 races in a row, and true. DNF. But yeah, so let's put that as a flat tire. My driver of the day. So let's do this twofold. Let's do driver of the day and then driver of the week. Okay, so my driver of the day would be. I'm struggling between both McLarens. I'm gonna say Lando. You know what, Lando start off second, expected to maybe finish 5th behind both Mercedes and Red Bull, and he had an amazing race pace. He was behind Mercedes's butt constantly. Turnings, racing, even getting the compliment mid-race from Lewis Hamilton. Mad props to Lando. So he's my driver of the day for sure. How about you?
I mean, you know who I have a man crush on. So to me, it's Ricciardo. I think he started off 13th. I believe so, and then he ended up supposed to be 6th, but he lost to Sainz by just a tiny bit. But to me, I think, actually, you know what? No, I agree with you. It has to be Lando. Ooh. I think, barring the situation, the conditions he was up against, I think he was definitely by far the driver of the day. I would have actually said George Russell, even though I'm a big George Russell doubter, if he had gotten the points. But Fernando Alonso was like, not today.
Not today. Actually, okay, so that's perfect segue into my driver of the week, which is George Russell. What an amazing week for him. What an amazing podium. Quali's finishing. He finished 9th. I don't remember who it was that got the grid penalty, but he eventually got 8th for that against Latifi that finished 17th or something, keeping his 100% record of beating his teammate. What a bright future this kid has. I hope he's in Mercedes next year. I don't see it any other way, no matter how well Bottas has been doing lately, which is another kind of like side note to potential driver of the day. Bottas was doing pretty well. But George Russell is just overall great weekend. I can't believe he didn't get that point. I mean, that would have been the
Yeah,
best way to finish that weekend, man. You
yeah,
could see
for
the
sure.
pit in Williams just like devastated, and
Yeah, yeah. His whole team was just sad. But
it's
I mean,
insane. Like you
it
got
doesn't take away. But it doesn't take away from how good he was driving.
yeah,
Like it doesn't. It really doesn't take away.
with the
And
car
again,
that he
as you
had.
said, yeah, exactly. So it's only kind of adds excitement to the future of Jordan. I think my driver of the day. This is gonna be a curveball. And Seb. I wish Seb was
Driver of
here,
the
but
week, you mean?
sorry, driver of the week. Sorry, I wish
Okay.
Seb was here because he would have made fun of me. I think it's Bottas. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at the guy. He had two podiums back to back. He finished second. He finished third last week. Yeah, there was a lot of skeptics and a lot of doubts about if Bottas still has the quality, but I mean, maybe it's because there's a lot of rumors about who will be the second driver for Mercedes next year, and he's, driving, Drive to Survive, right? Like that's the name of the Netflix. So maybe he's driving to survive yet another contract. But yeah, I think the past week he's shown he still has that quality, he has that speed, and I mean today he outpaced Hamilton by quite a bit. I'm aware that Hamilton had car issues, but hey, he was flying, so kudos to him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, kudos to Bottas, absolutely great pace throughout the whole weekend. So, I mean, I'll keep saying it, too little, too late. Sorry. But, Hamilton just signed yesterday, I believe, for 2 years. So the only competition right now is George Russell. And George Russell, I don't care how well you're doing, Bottas, but George Russell is doing better. So we'll see where that goes. So okay, so that finishes up, our awards, best drivers, worst drivers. So we're just gonna go on a quick, highlight about other races to maybe keep an eye out. Gasly had a good race. He
Mm-hmm.
kind of dropped off towards the end. I believe he pitted twice. They went for the two pit strategy, so it kind of didn't work. Then you also have Alonso finishing on the points. Stroll and Vettel nowhere to be found. I believe something happened in the end. We were saying we didn't see what happened
Yeah,
between Raikkonen and Vettel,
yeah,
but they just kept falling and falling.
yeah,
So maybe there's a little crash that we should take a look at there. But yeah, I mean, overall, amazing. For me, very interesting race. Sadly, we won't have another race for two weeks. Well, not this week, but the following one we'll be able to
yeah,
race in Silverstone uh,
yeah.
at the UK. So hopefully, I mean, that's
Well,
gonna be rough
super.
for Hamilton, bro.
I was about to say super. Let's do before we wrap up. Super early prediction for winner of Silverstone.
Like overall winner.
Yeah, of
Uh,
Silverstone. Yeah.
Max Verstappen.
Really? I would have said Hamilton. That's his this guy wins
Yeah,
in
but they don't
Silverstone
have the
all
pace.
the
They're not
time.
fixing the freaking car. So like, I mean, will they? I hope. I mean, imagine losing it at home. Like that's just gonna be a really like gutted moment for them. But
I know.
I
I
don't
want to
know.
say
I don't
Hamilton.
I don't see Verstappen. I mean, Verstappen's on his way to win his first championship. Kudos to him.
Yeah.
Good for him. I hope Hamilton wins. That'd be great. I don't like that, we don't have this competition anymore because Mercedes decided to lose one race and be like, oh no, don't worry,
Yeah,
we're
we're
just gonna
done for
focus on
the.
next year. Like, ugh, come on. Like I get it, but like please give us the race.
Yeah, I know.
So you saying Hamilton wins next year?
Oh yeah, I
Next
mean, hey,
next
you
week?
know me. I'm the biggest Hamilton doubter out there, but I think on home turf, I think this week off is really necessary for Mercedes, so then they can reevaluate things. And I think the fact that Hamilton came out and was very critical about the Mercedes approach, I think will spur them a bit to get things going. So,
Yeah,
but again, we'll see. A lot can change in 2 weeks, so time will tell.
you heard it here, Lewis. You heard it here. Your boy Omar, that is usually your highest doubter. He believes in you. All right,
Yeah,
do it.
exactly.
Win
Do
it.
it.
Win
Just
it.
do it.
Just do
Just
it.
do
Just do it.
it.
All right, man. Well, thanks for meeting up with me. It's a bit early on this side of the world. It's a bit later on
Yeah.
your end. So yeah, thank you guys for joining. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the race. Leave us a like, a subscribe, a comment. Feel free to comment. What is your driver of the day? What is your Flat Tire Award? Who did we miss? Maybe is there something that we could have talked about? And any ideas to talk about in the future. So we'll see you guys. Maybe not next week when there's no race, but definitely the following race at Silverstone. So with that, Adios, my friend.
Peace.
Guys.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like hearing us ramble about sports, feel free to subscribe at the top right, check out the next videos on the left, and feel free to leave us a like at the bottom. Thank you guys for watching.